Okay, this seems a little bit more accurate. What is this?
Thank Malthus. I was starting to think I was the only one. How are you? You look exhausted.
I'm good, but what's this guy doing? This must be how Dunmore sleeps. My chest.
Thank Malthus. I was starting to think I was the only one. How are you? You look exhausted.
Yeah, I had a bad dream, a nightmare, smiling. Shock of shocks, I am. Alright, I suppose. Thanks for asking. Um, let's say I had a nightmare.
You did. That's probably one of the after effects of the potion, but it will pass, I'm sure of it. But it's good to see the Grandmaster was right after all. I woke up just a few hours earlier, and he was here in the meantime. He didn't doubt for a single second that you would make it. But I suppose mutual congratulations are in order. We made it.
Dunmore's
We
probably
passed the
dead.
trial.
So does that make us keepers now?
Almost, yes. All that is left to do is to take the oath, and then Grandmaster Aranthiel will exalt us to the keepers of the first sigil. Speaking of whom, he also told me some things while you were asleep. About the Pyreans, about these dreams, and of course about this cycle. This is so bizarre, really. At first we're told out of nowhere that the gods have died, and now humanity is on the brink of extinction. This is a lot to take in.
The death of the Lightborn is the best thing that could have happened to mankind, or I figured, what do you make of all this? The cycle, this cleansing.
Hard to say.
Say that.
I never had those dreams the Grandmaster talked about, even though I'm magically gifted. But then again, I always had the feeling that the Red Madness was more than an ordinary disease. Well, I suppose all of this explains a lot. At least now I can understand why the Grandmaster was willing to break all the traditions of the Order just to get you exalted to be a keeper. According to him, most of our battle against the cycle will stand or fall with you.
Wish I could say that with the same conviction as him. To be honest, I don't really think I've understood all of what's happened to me yet.
Yes, I believe that. It's a great responsibility you've been given, and as impressive as your skills are, I would not want to change places with you.
So what's the next step?
Well, as I said, we both have to take the Holy Oath. You should talk to the Grandmaster as soon as you're ready. He's waiting for you in the Emporium.
We both... What about Dunmore?
Right. Dunmore. The apothecary examined him about an hour ago, and it doesn't look good. It's likely that he'll never wake up again.
Maybe a little self-control would have done him some good. He was a simple-minded fool. It would have surprised me if he'd passed. He will die. He doesn't deserve that. We'll say he doesn't deserve it.
No, in spite of everything. You know, Dunwar was one of those people who tried to gild their insecurity with boastful behavior. The reality is that he was the last of his bloodline, and his faith in the path and his destiny as a keeper were all that he had left. And who knows? Maybe he would have been a great help to the Order with the right guidance. But I guess Master Bartar's revelation was just too much for him. It's hard to be told that everything you've lived for was a lie.
You don't seem to be too shaken up over all of this. The death of the Lightborn, I mean. Or Dunmore's the last of his bloodline, or let's talk later. Let's do this character one. You don't seem to be too shaken up over all
Well,
of
maybe I
this.
just don't show it as much. But yes, in a way, you're probably right. I suppose that's mainly due to the fact that to me, as opposed to Dunwar, the Order always stood for an idea. And an idea doesn't die with the one who first thought of it. Funny that the Grandmaster said nearly the same thing during the exaltation. Dunwar would have considered it blasphemy.
Wow. You talk about the Lightborn and their ideas as if they wouldn't have cost thousands of lives. They weren't as benevolent as you make them out to be.
That's true. A lot of crimes were committed during the Lightborn's reign, and I don't want to minimize that. But I also think a lot of those crimes were unavoidable, so to speak. Imagine you're the king of a small island, and one day your realm gets attacked by a fleet of Scarab Reavers. The invasion catches you completely off guard, and within a few hours, the Reavers have advanced to the farmland, just a few feet from your city's main gates. And before you know it, you have to make a decision. Will you use the time that remains to entrench your army within the city's walls to have a better chance of surviving a siege? Or Do you send them into the field to fight the Reavers there, knowing that there is only a slight chance to save the farmers, but a big risk that you will lose both the city and the farmers?
I'd take my chances in the open field. If I didn't at least try, the farmer's blood would be on my hands, or I'd draw back into the city. Better to have a big chance to save the entire realm than a small one to save a handful of farmers. We're going to do the second one. We draw back into the city.
That's one way to see it, yes. But what if your foray would have succeeded? What if you could have prevented the massacre in the farmlands? What I'm trying to say is, it doesn't matter what you do. There will be people who will despise you for your decision. If your attempt to rescue the farmers fails, you will be accused of having acted blindly and idealistically. And if you just stay in the city, they will say you didn't even try. Of course, there's a small chance the foray might work, but should decisions like that really be made as if they were a game of dice? As I said, I don't mean to absolve the Lightborn of their crimes, but I'd wager my left hand that they had a lot of similar decisions to make.
Interesting thought. Speaking of Dunwar, what was that thing at the ritual place all about? He called you a witch.
I knew the question would come eventually. I suppose the answer depends on whether you're in the mood for some gloomy talk. Sooner or later you'll hear it from someone else anyway, so why not from me first?
I wouldn't have asked if I weren't interested. Shoot.
As you wish. Where should I start? Maybe with the fact that I don't remember anything that happened before my 6th winter. I don't know where I was born, and I never got to know my parents.
You don't remember? How come?
I wish I knew. What I do know, though, is that the first memory I have is of waking up in the middle of some village. It was dark, and I felt dizzy and, I don't know, empty? That's probably the best way to describe it. I eventually found the strength to get up and look around, and, well, that's when I realized what was actually going on around me.
What?
The entire village. It had been destroyed. There were corpses everywhere. Men, women, children. And the houses had been crushed as if some mad god had rampaged through the streets there. And it had all just happened hours before because the destruction was still fresh. Whatever it was, I didn't have much time to think about it. As soon as I got up, I saw 3 riders coming through the smoke. One of them got off his horse, ran towards one of the corpses, and started screaming something in my direction. Then I felt a blow on the back of my head, and I lost consciousness. By the name of the sun, it's strange to talk about it like this. It's been so long, but the memory feels as if it had happened yesterday.
Why did those men attack you?
Well, it turned out the riders were hunters who had come from that village. They must have observed the whatever it was from the distance and ridden back to the village. At least I think that's how it went. I guess I'll never find out. The reason they thought I was somehow involved is that the village priest found me a couple of days before it happened near a shrine in the wilderness. Apparently, I was wearing torn clothing, and no matter what the apothecary tried, he couldn't wake me up from my comatose sleep. And it seems that made the writers think I was some kind of witch child, or unholy beast, whichever you prefer.
They really thought a 6-year-old child destroyed the entire village? That's ridiculous.
For you, maybe. For them, as simple people, it was probably the best explanation they had. And think about it, it's not that far off. A motherless child who neither talks nor breathes steadily is found abandoned on the roadside and has a strange mark on her face. They leave to go hunting, and when they come back, they find their village in ruins with that foundling child being the only survivor. You have to admit, it's not that much of a stretch, even if those men hadn't been superstitious farmers.
I see, and these men wanted to do what exactly? Take revenge?
Probably. Truth be told, I try not to think about it too much. And actually, it doesn't matter, because I somehow managed to get away before they could do anything. I even made it to Ark all by myself, which didn't turn out to be much of an improvement in the end, because I was pathless.
They brought you into the Undercity, right?
Yes. Thinking about it now, I actually wonder how I made it through my time down there. But maybe that's one of the advantages of being a child. You don't think. You just act. Still, the winters down there were cruel, and if Master Tyrus hadn't found and taken care of me, I probably wouldn't have made it through my second year.
Master Tyrus, the keeper, adopted you?
Yes, otherwise I would not be here. Yeah. He saw me, and he knew what he had to do, is how he put it.
Alright.
Of course, the Order wasn't too happy about a pathless child in the Scuola, just as some aren't happy about you being here. But Tyrus was a highly regarded man, and that's why they let it slide.
So he just saw you and decided to adopt you. That sounds too good to be true, to be honest. Or why is this order so preoccupied about Pathless trying to get into their ranks? It's not like we both don't have our reasons. Or so Master Tyrus granted you the novitiate. We'll say so he decided to adopt you. That sounds too good to be true.
It does, yes. But then he had lost both his wife and daughter 5 years before he found me. So maybe I was some kind of substitute. I don't know. But in the end, it doesn't matter. I owe him everything. He was a good man, and that's all that matters.
Why is this order so preoccupied about Pathless trying to get into their ranks?
That's right, we do. But we are both still pathless, and that disqualifies us according to the holy verses. I guess now you understand why I was never as connected to Malthus's teaching as Dunmore was. To some of the keepers, I am still an outcast, and no matter what I do, I always will be.
So Master Tyrus granted you the novitiate.
Yes, and now I'm here. Well, here we've reached the end of my impressive tale. I hope you liked it.
Yes. You're definitely not the fisherman's daughter from the village, I'll give you that.
No, I guess I'm not.
So what happened to Master Tyrus? Where is he now?
Gone. He was very old, and there was nothing anyone could do about it. But I'd prefer not to talk about it, if you don't mind.
Alright. So that means Dunmore believes that this story about you being responsible for the destruction of that village is actually true?
He does, yes, and he's not alone in his opinion. One of those hunters recognized me in the market my first year as a novice, and you can imagine that it was easy pickings for those who were already against my presence in the Order. From then on, they added names to the derogatory stares. Demon Child, Witch, whatever they could come up with.
Well, you're talented, intelligent, and pretty. Many reasons for the other novices to envy you. Or I saw your skills, and you're the only one who made it through the trial. The way they treat you probably has more to do with jealousy than anything else. Or, well, your story is a little unsettling, to say the least. We'll tell her that she's talented, intelligent, and pretty.
Yes, maybe. You know what's funny? To some extent, I'm glad to be who I am. That way, people just leave me alone, and that gives me more time to focus on what's important. On my goals.
Which would be?
Several. But I'd say that's enough of the gloomy stories, don't you think? There will be plenty of time for chatter in the future. Maybe.
Completed 2 Souls, Part 1. So Dunmore was the last of his bloodline?
Yes. All of the Dalmordans fell victim to the Great Flesh Maggot Plague of 8215. Actually, it was almost sad to see him running around and boasting about his nobility, though everyone knew that without the help of the Order, he would have probably ended up living in a shack in the Undercity. If you can call that living.
Let's talk later. I should go see the Grandmaster now.
You should. It's already late, but if you want, I can show you the most important places in the temple before you go to the Emporium. What do you think?
Thanks for the offer, but I'll manage.
As you wish. The apothecary put your gear in the chest by your bed. Now walk blessed. I will see you soon.
Alright. Started part of something momentous, Part 3. There's all of our stuffs. And poor Dunmore, you just need to lay back. That's the problem, is you're sleeping wrong. I wonder how they cut our bodies, all of us back here, if we were all sleeping. It's a very, very good question. But anyways, I know it's just about wrapping up point. That was a lot of like story unveiling and stuff, and I really enjoyed this actually quite a bit, because it feels like we're finding out more about. Throw that in the fire. That's dirty. I feel like we're finding out a lot more about the story and everything. So But anyways, I hope you guys, once again, I hope you guys had a wonderful, wonderful New Year's and, you know, good holidays and everything. And I hope to see you guys next time. So next episode, I figure we'll do a little bit of story, and then we'll probably do a little bit in the town as well. We might even check out the Undercity, because that's something I've been very, very interested to check out in addition. So I hope you guys join me for that. And if you enjoyed this video, as always, be sure and hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe if you're not already for more daily videos. And I hope to see you guys next time. So until then, as always, do take care and stay safe.